Hi, welcome back to Corporate Classy, but please come correct podcast. I am your host, Alberta Thomas, and we are back again with another Sunday Soul session with me. As you know, I like to have these spaces where I can freely talk about anything or bring a guest on with no structure, no guidance, and we just open and we're free and we talk about things. And so I adore Sundays, being able to launch something new. And it's currently Saturday, the day before Mother's Day. And shout out to all the moms out there, especially my mother. Shout out to her who is surviving from having a heart attack, who looks good, feels good. And if anyone know my mom is probably one of the kindest people you will ever meet. And she play a lot of games. She will keep you laughing and rolling. She is funny as I don't know what, but shout out to my mom. Shout out to my amazing sister who is like a mother, but now we're sister bonding, right? So shout out to her for being just a freaking great mother. And so shout out to all the moms out there. I'm not a mom. But guess what? It's okay. One day, one day. But thank you guys for listening to my last two episodes, especially one that I launched last week. Thank you for listening. And people have been calling me, giving me feedback, and I love it. I adore it. And also adore the transparency and the things that I talk about. So I'm going to continue to be upfront and honest and continue to talk about whatever is placed on my heart in the moment. And what I really adore the most about my podcast is that I can't speak for no one else, but I speak for myself and experiences. Sometimes I do share experiences of what my friends probably went through, if they don't mind me talking through it. But for the most part, when I speak, I'm talking about something that is connected to me or have been connected to me in the past or things I have overcome, which I am excited for healing. I'm excited for growth and I'm excited for the energy and the spaces that I'm in. And I'm going to continue to grow, heal, manifest, and do all the good and great things that I was placed on this earth to do. And so, as you know, I need someone to tag Manifest Your Purpose. Is that the name of it? Let me make sure I'm calling it right. Yep, I'm right. It is Manifest Your Purpose. Remember, I was telling you I am using these affirmation cards. I pull one a day. If you don't know them, visit them on Instagram. It's called Manifest Your Purpose. They are amazing cards just to get your day going. I would tell you again, I'm someone that speaks nothing but great things and it will continue to happen. So I'm going to pull a card and see what I get. Let's see. Woo! See, I'm telling you, you guys think I'm playing, but I literally just pull a card and it is based upon some of the things that I will be talking about in today's episode. It is crazy. It is really, really crazy how things work in the universe and God, and it's a beautiful thing. So, the card that I pulled, I'm going to tell you what it says. I would not shrink or settle for the comfort of others. Y'all, I'm so I'm so in a moment like that because that's kind of what I'm talking about today. And it's crazy that I randomly shuffled through the cards, the affirmation cards, and this is what I pulled. I'm going to say it one more time. I would not shrink or settle for the comfort of others. That's deep. It is one of those things that we as human beings have to really take into consideration and really understand what that means to us and what that looks like, right? That's crazy. Like, I am so in a phase of wow. Wow. So it's giving it away. So it's crazy because that's exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm talking about being okay with outgrowing people that are not in alignment with with your purpose and with your vision. And I'm not talking about leave people who just don't get it. I'm talking about understanding the difference between obligations and alignment. That when you are not walking in your purpose, and if you're not walking in the alignment of which is for you, and for people that you should be connected to, there will always be roadblock blocks and bumps and things in a way. I'm talking about my own personal experience. There will always be some type of blockage in your way. And you're feeling like you got to knock it down, knock it down, knock it down every time. Yes, you got to knock that thing down. But imagine if you get into full alignment of what your real, authentic purpose is in life, and your alignment of what it is that you're supposed to be doing and who you're supposed to be connected to, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at where you will be in life, right? And so I know I have been talking about a lot of different things over the last couple of weeks, from, my own pathways of life and how I chose different paths and different ways of looking at things and doing things a little bit differently as far as putting my career first, and talking about, choosing yourself and making sure that you're healing from past trauma and that you're not afraid to tap back into past trauma, and that you are focusing on what your life is supposed to look like, that you're listening to that inner voice, and your heart mixed with some realness and reality of where you are in life, that you're listening and taking inventory of your life as a whole. And so, think about it like this. Think about what happens when the version of you that's healing no longer fits in with the people you used to love the most. It's pretty deep. And I just want to let you know this episode isn't about judgment. This episode is really about reflection and taking inventory of where you are. And a lot of times we don't openly talk about these things, and we battle with a lot of things internally, right? So, and I like to call that's still considered like that quiet grief that comes with growing out of, whether it's friendships, relationships, spaces that used to feel like home and it don't feel like home no more. It will eat you up. Things. Growth is so personal. And and when you hear people say, including myself, when you hear things such as you can't pour from an empty cup, which means you have to make sure your cup is full. You got to make sure that you are well taken care of before you can just pour so much into other people. And yes, I've been there where I've poured everything else into people, things, and not putting myself first, and realizing that I want to pour into these things, but I got to make sure that for me, mentally, physically, that I'm in a good space what I'm so I can be able to do those things, right? Growth isn't always a group trip, right? So, like I just stated, growth is very personal. Everyone doesn't hear that same call to hear. People are not going to evolve at the same time. um Everybody have a different grind. Everybody have something different that they want to do. Everybody vision life differently, but it always brings me back to thinking about making sure you're in alignment. And when you're in alignment with things, everything feels very easy. And I think sometimes we get hung up in the fact of, if everything is too good to be true, and I've been there, right? Learning from not self-sabotaging things, including myself, because I'm an overthinker and I think worst case scenario. But I also lead with that gut, that intuition, because my intuition speaks very loud to me. So I know when something is off, I know when something is wrong, and I know where it comes from. I'm very aware. And I haven't always been there. I was able to get there because of healing. I was able to get there because I recognize where those things stem from. We're all on this grind, right? We're all on this hustle But in moments when you realize that things actually did shift and you're not moving to the same beat, is not you're not in the same headspace and things don't feel like it's in alignment, and when you're constantly fighting the battles, it's because there is no alignment. And we don't want to identify when it's off. We don't want to talk about when we're feeling some type of way internally. We rather hold through it, right? We rather keep those things to ourselves, and we rather just allow it to be. It is what it is. But that all too is a part of self-sabotaging and not wanting to really understand and take inventory of where you are. And so I think it's important to make sure that, you talk about your goals, you talk about your values, you figure out what are your habits that no longer align with your circle. And how did you notice it? Where and what was that moment when you felt like, it's not in alignment? This is not what it's supposed to be. And when you realize that, sometimes, that thing that hurts the most is realizing that we can still be cool, but we're not on the same page. Or this very thing is not showcasing where I want to be and what I want to do and what we can potentially do as partners, or what we can potentially do, collectively at work. Is just being able to understand your purpose. And for me, the more and more I understand who I am and where I'm at in life, the more I understand how to say no when I'm not giving what is supposed to be mine, what I'm not receiving, what is supposed to be mine. And you know it. You know when it don't sit right in your spirit. You know if it's not something that you want to partake in, because it's, again, being very intentional, taking inventory of what it is. Is it in alignment with who you are, your morals, your values, your beliefs, where you're trying to go, what you're trying to do? All of those things. One of the main things that I know for sure for me, as I needed to disconnect from certain things in my life, invites. I felt guilty being labeled as, oh, she's too good to hang out. She's too busy to come around, things of that nature. And it's like, no, I'm on a mission. I'm on a different path. And I got things I need to do. And so do you. And what does those conversations look like? And I know for sure I felt like I abandoned some relationships at one point. And the crazy thing is, when you're not in full alignment, you can't open up 100%. You can't authentically give yourself whole to someone or something or work when you're not 100% invested. You can't. If it feels off, you're not going to be able to do it. Yeah, you can force yourself to temporarily do it, but it then becomes draining and it goes back to toxic spaces. One thing that I know for sure that I truly learned about, stepping away from people who are no longer in alignment with your life, I understand what it means to love people from a distance. Because even when you have to step away from people or that thing that you may love to do, you just know either timing isn't right or either that's not meant for you. It's okay to still love, right? It's nothing wrong with still loving. It's okay with setting some boundaries without having any beef. Supporting people silently. I kid you not. I'm a social media person. I scroll, patrol, whatever you want to call it. I silently want people to be great. When I'm scrolling, I'm like, oh my God, so and so did it. Oh my God, so and so got this. Oh my goodness. Like and keep it pushing. There is nothing wrong with that. And even if you don't want to like it, right? Because you're like, maybe they'll feel some type of way for liking it. But just being able to make sure they're still good, is nothing wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that. You want them to be great. Letting people stay where they are without needing to pull them up. That's one thing I had to learn, y'all. Let me tell you a story. For me, I am someone who is, if something is going on, or you're coming to me wanting advice, or you're coming to me venting, right? Or it could be work related things, but you're coming to me. And so for me, I am a solution based person with no fluff. I shoot it to you straight, but we're going to come up with a resolution and we're going to solve for whatever it is that you coming to me about. That's how my mind works at work. That's how my mind is in life. I don't have time to sit and hear your complaints with no actions, no solutions, no resolutions. I don't want to hear you complain. I don't. It's a pet peeve and it gets on my nerves. People don't really want to hear you come up with solutions. Not everybody. And so for me, I had to learn what it means to set clear boundaries with someone in just a conversation. And I learned this from my best friend. I love her to death. We was friends since sixth grade, and she is absolutely amazing. But she taught me how to ask a question like, hey, so just to make sure we're on the same page, are you coming to me for advice or are you coming to me and just want me to be a listening ear? So if I'm at work, if you are my friend, if you are a random person, I'm probably asking you that question before we talk about anything because I need to know who you need in this moment, right? And it psychologically put this wall in my brain of who I need to show up as for you. And so I love the fact that she gave me that. I used to be that person always talking and want to give a solution for to her, but I realized she always asks me that question. Before when I'm venting, when I'm talking or anything, she will always ask me that question. And I carry that question with me every single day. Every single day I carry it with me. And when I analyze my life and take a look at where I am, I can remember there has been a lot of explaining of my energy and my focus to people because I needed my space and I needed some discipline, and which result to me not talking to you, me not going out. Like it took me focusing on me in order to feel my purpose and feel what I need to be doing, and I couldn't do that when it was so much going on around me. So being able to take time to myself, and I talk about that long time ago too in my first episode, where it is important to make sure that you take time for yourself to understand where you are in life. And it could be as simple as I'm not mad, I'm just moving on and I'm not looking back. It's just as simple. And so I did that. I did took time to myself before for almost a year, a little over a year. And I had ended some relationships, some friendships, because I knew what I needed and I knew where I was going and wish them nothing but the best, right? All right. So one other thing that I kind of wanted to deep dive in a little bit is really talk about alignment over obligations. Just because you've known people for a long time, that doesn't mean that they're meant to go forever. There are people that's around for a season. There are people who are around you forever. There are people who are around you for just a short time. There are people around you just to get things going, to help you wherever you are in that moment in life. I think time and alignment and don't mean that someone is supposed to be around forever. And that's just speaking the honest truth. And there's a difference between being loyal to someone's growth versus being loyal to someone's comfort zone. And that's one place that I don't like to be. I don't want to be comfortable. I want to be comfortable and financially free, right? One day, but I don't want to be comfortable where I feel like I can't be myself or I feel like I can't move to that next level because I got you holding me back and I'm trying to move to your beats. I don't want to get stuck. That's one thing I don't want to be. I don't want to be stuck. I want to grow. I want to elevate. I want things to go into alignment. I want things to make sense. I want purpose. And I know, because again, I know what it feels like for life to be easier. I'm not saying that some days it's not going to be hard, some days it's not going to be your best days, but I've experienced life when life was easy. And when it was easy, it was because I was walking in and with my purpose, and I was in alignment of where I should be. You know what I'm saying? I experienced that multiple times. And that's the way it should be. That's the freaking way it should be. Sometimes the pressure to stick with people out of history and obligations, family ties, and how that can also impact your personal growth. I've been there, done that, not doing that again. You know what I mean? And that's being real. So let's kind of compare obligations versus alignment a little bit. And let's start with obligations, right? And these are a list of things that came to mind when I think about obligations. Guilt driven loyalty. You're always giving. You feel drained. You have to explain your journey. I'm going to repeat that. These are things that come to me when I think about obligations. Guilt driven loyalty. You're always giving. You feel drained. You have to explain your journey. Let that list marinate for a second. And let's talk about alignment. Vision driven relationships. You're growing with them. You feel expanded. They get your journey. I'm going to let that one sit. I'm not going to make a comment to that because the words that I wrote on this piece of paper is very self explanatory. And I'm going to leave you with this quote. There is nothing wrong with wanting to be around people who feed your vision. That's not selfish, that's sacred. And so I'm going to end it right there. Hopefully, you find this episode very beneficial and that it resonates with you or someone and you share it. Thanks everyone for all the love and the support that you do give me. And I always like to end it with this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, follow my podcast on any platform you can think that has podcast on it. I am there. Don't forget to share my episode or my entire podcast with someone. I am on social media, Corporate Classy Podcast, or you can find me at Bravo CC or my name, Alberta Thomas. I'm there. I'm tagged. I'm everywhere. And thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for rocking with me. And until next time, peace.